Hello, everybody. This is Die Inspired's first cast member interview with uh, Neo, who
aka
played
Maarifa.
Maarifa.
The mask comes back, the horns come back out of my mask, and I am rowing out of this boat. Hello, everyone watching. I am the Neo Soul God. Everyone just calls me Neo, though. I am a Dungeons and Dragons and content creator on several platforms: TikTok, Twitch, the whole nine yards. You can find me pretty much on any platform by just searching Neo Soul God. I promise you, I probably have an account there. The best accidental branding decision I've ever made. And I've been playing role playing games for a few years now, not extremely long. I think I've been playing consistently for maybe about 3-4 years now. Uh, Especially to the degree that I'm a writer. I've written my own races, subclasses, campaign settings, the whole nine yards at this point. I just love the hobby.
Give us an example. Give us an example like one of the subclasses or races that you've written.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I actually wrote the Night Skins race for Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. It I think it has sold maybe 3,500 copies now.
That's
Uh
awesome.
Nice.
yeah, a 1.5 page PDFs, so 3,500 times. And An example of I like to get really creative when it comes to like subclass ideas because I feel that a lot of times uh there's just certain flavors or certain things that are just missing from the game as a whole. And I try to find those places or try to blend other hobbies and nerddoms or niches into the game as well. And the one that I'm working on right now is actually trying to combine the blue mage from Final Fantasy into a rogue subclass. So instead of it being like a rogue that steals items or is sneaky, they instead steal the abilities from monsters. It's a really fun concept that I'm working on right now. So
So this,
it's
so that hasn't been released. Like you haven't. Have you put that out that concept yet?
as as of this, no. As of this, no. I still have it in playtesting right now, but by the probably by the end of this week, as we're recording this, I should have it out. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Nice.
That's awesome. So you
Okay.
said you got into it a couple years ago. What pushed you into just TTRPGs in general? Like, was there a friend or was there a group? Did you walk into a wrong shop? Like where am I?
So it's crazy. I was working actually, and I was at work, and a friend of mine um hits me up and is like, "Hey, me and some guys about to hit the bar. You want to come and uh build Dungeons and Dragons characters with us? We're gonna do a campaign." I was like,
At the bar?
"Yeah." I was like, "Shit, I yeah, I'll slide through." And I I had played previous editions prior. I had played a little bit of Pathfinder first edition years ago, and I hated every bit of it. And I played Dungeons and Dragons 3.5 years ago as well. A little bit, only a little bit though. So I hadn't played anything since. So I sat there with them at the bar and was just knocking back screwdrivers, and I read the entire player's handbook in about 3 hours.
Yeah. That's how I started. It was third edition before 3.5, like right when third edition came out. Um, a friend of mine, like, you want to make a character? Yeah. I don't have no idea what I'm doing, but that weekend I read the player's handbook and the Dungeon Master's Guide and pretty much memorized the monster manual over the course of a weekend. I was hooked.
So,
Absolutely.
so, so let me just to clarify. You went to a bar and to create a character, and then you read the entire player's handbook at the
At
bar
the
in three
bar?
hours.
Yeah, at the bar in 3 hours while drinking. So
You're a
so
good reader.
I my I can read exceptionally fast. Like I can it's kind of insane on how fast I read and how fast I absorb knowledge. Like everybody was like they were shooting pool and throwing darts and everything, and I was just like, "Can I get another?" And I'm literally just going through page by page, like literally just speed reading through this entire friggin' book. And then after I left the bar and sobered up a little bit, I started reading the Dungeon Master's Guide that same night, and just was
Hooked.
Hooked. Yeah,
Hooked. Yeah.
I think I finished the Dungeon Master's Guide by that next morning. I stayed up all night reading it.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
It's got you now.
Yeah, it's got me. Yeah, I mean, it had me. So it's like, it is what it is. So it's crazy. Like I tell people that, and it's like, nah, man, like you actually read the Dungeon Master's Guide. Like nobody does that. It was like, I mean, it was okay. It was some good information.
Good story.
It's more of a guideline other than like an entire book.
It's some good information in there, I wouldn't call it a page turner. But I loved it ever since, and it was a really, really bad campaign. It was a really awful campaign.
Really?
Yeah, we called it Vets and Cons.
Vets and Cons.
Well, that's our nickname for it. Don't tell the people that were in that game that we call it that, but a bunch of us.
We don't have to. You just did.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy because like we called it that because several of us were had served in some branch of the military at some point. I was in the Navy. And I think the other two were in the Army, maybe. And then we had this one guy who played with us. This is why I'm so skeptical.
I was waiting for you to get to the con part.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I feel like I just got to give a little bit of preference, just a little bit. Yeah, just got to. Let's just preface this with the fact that we didn't know this dude. We met like on like a Facebook message thing or whatever, and bruh had literally just gotten out of prison the day before the game started.
Oh, you picked up a convict from Craigslist.
Oh, it was scary, man. Like bro was actually really, really scary.
That's awesome.
It was a token like a cigarette. He just sit it on the map.
No, dude.
I got one of these from the joint.
That's awesome. Neil, tell us about Maarifa and why I say it wrong every time. Is it Maarifa or like how do you say it?
It's Maarifa.
Maarifa.
So no, you're pretty close. So Maarifa means knowledge. And
take it in, Rusco.
and when I made the character, I think what I wanted to do was subvert a few tropes or stereotypes about different classes, because having a little bit of context of the game and what it was going to be like, I couldn't build the character that I normally would build in any game that I play. I'm normally the most clever person at the table. I find a clever solution to most problems. But I really wanted to do something different that I normally wouldn't do and to subvert some tropes. So I chose something that I'd never played before. I'd never played a barbarian before. And I was like, not only am I going to play a barbarian, but he's going to be super chill and smart. And I think when I did that, I was inspired by the game that I was playing at the time, Guilty Gear Strive had just come out, and there's a character in that game called Nagoriyuki, and he is a really big black vampire dude, and he's awesome. And he's got this mask that comes out, like his Oni mask that comes out, and that's
what I was going to ask next. One of the cool parts is in the show, he's like, oh, so I'm going to rage again, and you're like, the mask comes on, the horns come out, and it was part of your rage.
Absolutely.
That you incorporated. I was like, well, that's really cool, because a lot of people, when they rage, it's like, okay, I'm raging, and absolutely, it's like, I'm just going to rage. But your rage had this when
The
you said
visual
that, yeah,
aspect
it's
to it.
visual to it where I'm watching, I'm going like, oh, so not only does he rage because barbarians rage, there's something else that takes place when that's happening. So there's some visuals like the way you said it with the mask comes on, the horns come out. I was going to ask you about like, where did you get that concept or
Absolutely. So like I said, I was inspired by the character Nagata Yuki from Guilty Gear, but what I wanted to do was essentially I like to give visuals for well, I like to, not even just visuals. I like to aptly describe when I'm dungeon mastering or when I'm GMing, I use every single perceptual sense to describe things, because I feel like it's way more immersive that way. Um, so when I'm describing character, I always make sure to say what they smell like, if they smell of fruits or flowers
Yeah.
or something like that. I always do that because sense is the sense of smell is the most powerful evoker of memory.
Mm-hmm.
So I make sure to involve every sense into the description of a character, or to so that I guess like kind of a calling card, so to speak. So like when I was raging, yes, the Oni mask would come on and the horns would come out, sure, but now and that is now an iconic thing of the character, making him more memorable to me and to the other players at the table.
Makes
I
sense.
mean, yeah, it worked for me. It was one thing that I noticed because it's cool to watch. It's really cool to watch characters have that little essence, right? So,
Absolutely.
as we got a certain amount of classes, uh, and a certain amount of races, and someone that puts a spin on all of it, going like, "Wow, dude, I've seen the norm stuff, and I know that they can do right." And when someone adds something like that to it, it just it's cool. I think it catches people's eyes, and the game is played on such a intimate level because usually it's with friends or it's a small group of people. So a lot of people don't get the chance to see it all the time. You know what I mean? Like
I do.
it's like Rusco, you have a character that you talk about all the time with Tubbs, and he's told me
Yep.
adventures that Tubbs has been on, and it's just pretty amazing.
For sure.
Yeah. That's part of the fun of the game, I think, is nobody remembers the monsters they just destroy and absolutely own. But they remember in great detail all the times they rolled that one when they wish they wouldn't have.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Which
Uh,
it brings me to a question. Um, when you have when you play with your friends, do you role play? Because I ask a lot of people this that play the game. Do you actually role play? And we saw a little bit with you at the table, or are you preferred to roll the dice? Have you ever been in a game where everyone around the table was straight role play? Like, I mean,
in
100%
character.
in
Yeah.
character, didn't break character. Have you ever been in a game like that?
Um, yeah, actually. I run a actual play on my Twitch channel called Hillard University. It is a uh, historically Black magic college that I run. And my players in that game are very, very role play heavy. We do they break character? Yes, sometimes, when someone
Yeah.
cracks a joke and stuff like that. But a lot of times, like, they will get extremely immersed, right? So yes, I have been at a table with extremely like immersed players and stuff. But every time I'm playing a character, like, I'm an actor. I've been an actor for years. And like, I will fall into the character as soon as the session starts. Like, before we started recording, like, when I was sitting in the car before we did Die Inspired, I was in my car practicing Maarifa's voice.
Yeah. I get
because
that.
because I wanted him to be um like have this commanding voice of a sailor, and shouting across entire deck hulls and stuff like that. Like, I wanted him to have the presence of being there, and I felt that in order to do that, I needed to bring the character to life. It was so many, it's so many things that go into like making a character memorable. And the first thing that I do is I find their voice.
Yeah.
And then I can like build up from there. So like I said, I invoke the sounds, the sounds, the smells, the sights. I'm literally trying to invoke every sense. And the fact that like Maarifa's voice, you know, still rings in my head, echo is like an echo chamber in my mind, is just like a testament to the fact that, of course, I have to bring this character to life. I spent labor and love like writing this character and, accolading the stats. And of course, it was just level 1, so it wasn't as much labor, but, you know, it was.
You still got to take some time. I mean, yeah, you have the numbers in your gear list and everything, but there's so much more to it. You know, what motivations? What is this guy?
I really like that.
What does he want?
Yeah, I like you start with the voice.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's some power behind that in life too, in real life, right? I mean, like you find if someone finds their voice, you build off of that, and that's a really cool statement. That's really cool. So, what'd you think of when you came in the room, and did you know anybody when you got there?
That was my next question. How did you hear about Die Inspired? Like how did we fall in your laps and you end up at this game?
So I came to my local game store, and I, was buying some dice or something, and the owner of the store said, "Hey, have you signed up for this thing yet?" And I was like, "The hell are you talking about?" It's like, yeah, it's and he told me about it, and it's like, hey, that sounds kind of exciting. Not even just for like, I mean, like the cash prize, sure, that sounds cool, but it was really just the experience. I mean, that sounds, because I'm sitting here thinking, how the hell is that going to work?
Yeah, we didn't know either.
We had no idea.
And I was just like, I'm gonna sign up just for the curiosity of seeing,
just to watch these idiots fail.
Like, I mean, I wouldn't go say all that, but like, I was very interested to see how it was going to work. So that's how I heard about it, though.
So when you showed up and you saw some people, kind of dressed out a little bit, right? Some people show up in capes and hoods. Some people don't. You have this whole, eclectic group of gamers that sit down. I think everyone kind of was on the same page. Right off the bat, though, we found out, like, rather than like, hey, you guys came as friends. I mean, it wasn't against the rules. You can bring in some people. So we were curious how that was going to look, if the people were going to gang up or how they were going to play out. You made friends pretty quickly. You made some friends pretty quickly, going like, hey, I need to get in here and. I mean, if
it doesn't serve you to have enemies in this situation.
You really didn't know. So for me, I didn't know a single soul there when I showed up. And I was like kind of keeping to myself at first, and I was just like, okay, well, this is a competition, so I guess it's a little bit of a competition at the very least. It's got the soul of a competition, rather. And I was like, okay, so maybe I should keep everything close to my chest, like kind of shifty eyed, and it's like, okay. And I'm leaning into different conversations, see what they're playing. Oh, wizard. Oh, yeah, I body you in one turn. Cool. That type of shit. And I was just like, I don't care for this. And I was just like, hey, so what's up? I'm Neo.
That's awesome.
I'm playing Maarifa and everything. Literally, just like I stopped caring after like 10 minutes in. I think it was the cookies, honestly. I had like a bag of chips and a cookie, and I was just like, yeah, I mean, I'm chilling, bro.
Yeah, let's just do it. Let's do it. Yeah.
Looking back, because hindsight's 2020. Really wish we would have had some cameras around that snack table just to, because I didn't get to be out there and see any of the interactions. I can only imagine walking out in the back and there's all these people kind of standing around like,
You're talking about on break. When
or
people
no, or when they first show up and they're doing
yeah.
interviews and then go out back to eat some snacks. Like, I wish we would have had some cameras catching all that. I'm sure we would have got some entertaining stuff there.
I'm
There
sure.
were people teaming up. I was out there a couple times and I could hear people go like, "This is what we're going to do when we go back inside." And I'm like, "Oh wow, that might not go good for the person you're talking about." So
Yeah, I mean, like it got a little dicey there for a little bit. But no, I literally came in with an open mind. Once I saw the setup, honestly, I was like, okay, it's not going to be a complete train wreck. And I just, my outlook changed because I came in with zero expectations and I was just like, I mean, let's see how this goes. Let's see how this goes. And I think that changed my outlook on it and made me a lot more positive than some other people. And I just wanted to have a good time and have the experience. But I knew I was going to survive. That wasn't a problem. And I was going to make it out.
That's one thing that you did on the cusp a lot of times. You would give really cool speeches that would be in character. It would be role playing, and it's like you were talking about your voice and your accent that you worked on. There's a couple times that you gave just some really cool insight that you were kind of telling a story in the voice, in the character that was amazing. There's a lot of people that, and I don't fault them for it, but there's some people just don't play that way. So I'm just like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to roll the dice. Okay, I did. All right. That's someone else's turn. And there was times that you would take it and it's like, cameras on and it's like, oh, cool, man. Like, tell us the story. And, when we do season 2 and 3 and, hopefully when we keep going, the more people that watch, it creates this comfortable space where it's like, I want to tell a story too, because to a viewer, right? I mean, a viewer wants to see that stuff, right? And they want the action, they want the dice rolls, they want to know that it's a game. And at the same time, it's like if everyone just said, I'm doing this, rolled the dice and walked away, it'd be like, okay, it's interesting, but it's not as, I want to be immersed, into this situation kind of thing.
And I think,
go ahead.
No, please.
No. Go ahead.
So I think what I was going to say was that I think that separates a lot of players, like I feel like once one starts doing that, they see the moments that can create, and it's like, you know what, I think I want to do that too,
Snowballs.
So, but somebody has to like kind of just, break the seal on that. You know what I'm saying? Like somebody's got to like just tear that band-aid off. And for me, it's just that I know the depth that can add to the game. I know it. I've experienced it. Like, because I've also sat at the table and just rolled some dice, Yeah. I've also done that. And I know that my experience is richer because I add this extra layer. That's just the cheese on the burger, man. It's the special sauce,
It's a special sauce.
Like it's just a little bit more.
I think that's if people go in the shops and see these open games, I think watching someone kind of do that stuff when someone kind of it's the same as like the first guy on the dance floor, right? Sometimes where it's just like, man, I wish I had the the nerve to get out there and do the goal that I want to do it. Like I want to be that guy out there. I want to role play like that, but I'm not good at it, or I'm too embarrassed or whatever. I think that when people do it, I think that it opens up this space where it's like, okay, I can play off of this. Like if you're going to do it, I can do it. It's a comfortable space. You know what I mean? So I think it totally works. I love it. Like I love it. Rusco loves it too. So, I mean, I'm goofy. I mean, I usually I'll get in character when I'm role playing. And for some odd reason, I don't know why all my characters end up bad. Like I never want them to be, but they always end up doing something just psychopathic.
Stupid.
I love that for you, honestly. Like, no, I
yeah.
love that.
Just
would-
go off
unless you're running a game for him, and he just pretty much
Oh
just,
yeah.
just he scraps the whole thing. Just
I do not. I am not a game runner. I'm. I'm just kind of like, it's like, well, we could pay for this, or we could just take it from him. Like,
yeah,
that's kind of my mentality. Let me ask you
pain
this:
in the ass.
Did you meet up with anybody? Like, as far as have you stayed in touch with anyone from the game? I mean, have you any of the cats? Have you made kind of friends with them?
Oh, absolutely. I still talk to Ben regularly.
Nice.
Ben played Desmond, for those that don't know.
Yes, I talked to um Ben, who played Desmond, and Alex, who played Alubine. I come to Landafar when I can.
Right.
And yeah, like meeting them was just icing on the cake for being there. Just definitely an experience that I gladly take away from uh being there. It was
That's
just
awesome.
meeting them.
That's awesome.
It's cool that we could facilitate making new nerdy friends.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to say next was right now in we don't take a stand on it. I don't want to even take a stand on it. I'm not touching it I'm just saying, as far as the OGL stuff that came up recently, that aside, how would you say the gaming is the gaming community as a whole? Would you say it's a positive place as a whole right now?
Um as a whole, I feel that the game it is very divisive. I feel that, at least from my perspective, I get a lot of positivity, a lot of representation, queer representation, BIPOC representation, and it's amazing to see. But it is not through the efforts of the community itself. It is honestly through the desire for marginalized communities to want to be represented.
That's interesting. I like that.
Yeah, we've essentially, not for lack of a better term, but we've kind of kicked the door in and kind of poked our head and said, "What y'all doing in here?" Is this that's kind of how I feel like we've had to make a place for ourselves, because what I feel that gamers are sometimes not inclined to do is change.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that we get stuck in our ways. We like to play the way we want to play, with the things that we've always played with little changes here and there, but not truly making noticeable and true change. So I feel that there is a part of the community that is extremely hesitant to the changes that are being made, and the desire for gaming to be an all-inclusive space. But as far as where my walk is, because I'm making a place for myself and coming into spaces where I wasn't necessarily, I don't want to say allowed in, but wasn't expected to be in.
Right. And
right?
and that's what the game is making a space for yourself. Right.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's that's what the imagination is. It's total walk. I was on a thread not too long ago with a couple gamers, and I just jumped in, and man, they were snobs. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like it's community this, community that, community this, but it's only their community and only their friends. And I'm like, oh wow, well, I'm sorry. I'll back out. I didn't mean
is this a community or a city?
Yeah, I didn't mean to offend anybody. I thought we were on the same page here. Like, I thought, okay, all right then. But yeah, I totally agree with you.
But what I've discerned from my in my tabletop role playing game walk is that I don't think, for the most part, I don't think the gamers are exclusive. I don't think that it is like, I don't think that they mean to be like, no, this is just ours. But I feel that because of the stigma or past pain that has come from being othered because we like games, like because we were dorky and nerdy and we like to do accents and roll dice at the table and be wizards and fantasy and stuff like that, because we were othered because of that, we feel that we have to kind of put a bubble around the things that we love, right?
Yeah.
It's like, and like when people want to come in from outside that bubble, you know, that have always been looking at it from the outside, seeing through the glass of the dome there, and they knock on and say, "Hey, can we come in and play too?" Somebody slides the window up and says, "What's the password?"
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No,
Yeah.
totally. 100%.
Great analogy.
Yeah, it's a great analogy.
So I think that we have to dismantle a lot of those things that made us feel othered, and acknowledge that we don't have to be othered anymore.
Right.
Like,
So,
Dungeons and Dragons has never been this popular, ever. Tabletop role-playing games in general, the hobby, has never been this popular.
why do you think that is? Just like what do you think was the change?
Honestly, accessibility.
That's
I have said this many a time. Those old TTRPG character sheets, those old formats, I feel that, and this is, I've been trying to figure out a way to say this without being harmful. But I feel that older games had a height requirement, so to speak. You have to be this smart to play this game. You have to be able to do this to play this game. You know what I'm saying? I feel that they had that, like the roller coasters. Like, no, you got to be this tall to ride this ride, or you're gonna fall off and get hurt. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like a lot of older games had that, and I've said it a million times. Pathfinder First Edition, and I'm sorry, Peso. Like, filling out that character sheet was like filling out a tax form.
Oh yeah.
And why was it like that? Why is this game like this? When I know, like, single page indie games, like indie TTRPGs that are like literally one page long,
Yep.
can fit on an index card.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that one of the most common comments I got about somebody slightly interested in playing, and then, they'd ask, like, so tell me a little bit more about it, and pull out the old 3.5 players handbook, and they just go, that's too much.
Yeah.
People are intimidated with the idea of having to read this book and learn all these rules, and they don't quite understand that we can just click on a character sheet online, and you write a name on their character and go, and
right.
we'll as Val and I often do, wing it.
Right. That's
just
all.
Go. Yeah, just go. Just start. That's the biggest thing. You're gonna learn. You'll learn along the way.
Right.
You don't have to know all the rules to start.
And that's the thing about it, though. Like, I feel that at a certain point, that is true. Like, that's the part that is accessible, is that no, this is for me, holding Dungeon Master's Guide. This is for me. You don't have to worry about this. You don't have to worry about this unless you want to. But, like, making the things accessible, things like online character creators, things like YouTubers and content creators, that make this information digestible. That's
100%.
what has made that is what's made the hobby more popular. That is what's made TTRPGs at the forefront of hobbying and gaming, because there's a drive to again kick that door in.
It's a passion.
Absolutely. There's the
Yeah.
drive to kick the door in and let people know, hey, there's some good times going on in here, y'all.
Mm-hmm. A little nerdy,
Absolutely.
but they're good times.
But that's the thing, right? So, like, I mean, honestly, Neil, if you were to explain to me what TTRPGs are, the passion behind it would more likely get me to play than, let's say, a CEO of a company explaining to me what profit margins are and why something should happen. And I understand that. I mean, I understand the society we live in. I get it. Everyone needs to. You work hard. You make you make a product. You want to sell a product. I get that. I've got no qualm with that. But I believe, like you said, the content creators. There's such a passionate. There's so many out there. The majority of them out there are people that create this stuff out of their imagination because they have a passion for it. They're not going to get paid for it. They're not getting any money for it. They're doing it because, dude, this is a way to, in a world that sometimes feels like it's going nowhere.
Right.
You can break away from it and be with people that want to just enjoy a life.
Right.
And I know I sound super like fantasy nerdy right now, but
Yeah,
that's the
bit.
truth. In a world where it's like when I turn on the news, it's one bad thing after another. Sometimes where it's like, dude, I just want to sit down with a group of people and let's talk about something different. Let's go into a world where I feel like I have some power over stuff when I roll the dice.
All this doom and gloom on the news, and what do? You get into your fantasy world where there's some sort of apocalyptic thing always around.
Oh, absolutely.
Hey, but listen, I have a chance. I have
gotta
a chance
go kill God.
Yeah, I have a chance to beat the dragon in that world. In this world, sometimes I feel like I'm like, well, I'm just sitting here waiting for it to come burn my house down.
Yeah,
just burn my house down. Absolutely.
I guess the thing that I want to know from you all is that what inspired you all to do this? Is this very ambitious and wildly amazing and fantastic project?
There's a few different motivations. I think
he called me and said, "Can I make money DMing?" And I was like,
"That's not quite that simple." Yeah, it's like if you want to just dumb it right down to, the possible lowest denominator. Yeah, that's kind of what we talked about. But really, I like world building, so I thought this would be a cool way to tell a story.
He said that this is what he said, legit, because I want to take that back. He basically said, I wish that I could just play this game and I just wish I could play this game all the time. I wish I could just be fantasy all the time. How can I make that happen? And I was like, well, we can do a show on YouTube because I just watched. I'm a huge YouTube watcher. That's as techie as I get, is looking at other people's videos. I love it.
Wow.
I was like, well, we can do it. And we got together and we scrapped up some money. And I talked with my wife. He talked with his wife. I was like, listen, it's going to be about $3,000 to put this all together.
Yeah.
And it went way past that way quick.
I bet it did.
Yeah. But I basically, we came to terms like, if we're going to do it, let's do it straight outside the box. I usually shoot the moon and he usually pulls me kind of down. So we kind of meet in the middle because I'm like, all right, let's get 1,000 people to play this game. And he's like, no, we can't. I was like,
we'll dare.
I'm like, why not? Why not? And basically that's we kept fleshing it out. And there was actually a place, Mastika. We were going to Mastika, right?
Yeah.
We were going it was from the 4th edition. Is that correct?
No, it was fleshed out in the 3rd edition. It was a Forgotten Realms. It was like picture Sword Coast and Forgotten Realms as Europe, and there was the Americas with like Native Americans and these tribal people, and we did some research. We thought this might be fun, and then the further we got into it, and then learning about like the OGL and SRD, we spent a few months like writing up a
Just
story
researching, yeah.
and doing a bunch of research and
You reached out to the guy that actually wrote it, like
Yeah.
wrote the campaign, and he
Mhm.
he answered us back. He was like, "Yeah, dude, that'd be great if you have any questions about it." But I think they just made it disappear, right? Rusco, didn't they just like
yeah,
kind of squash it?
in fourth edition, it just basically vanished. And then in fifth edition, it just kind of showed up and nobody talked about it.
Yeah.
And that's where we were going to go originally. And then just one day we just like, no, let's just make our own world.
Yeah, that's
All that work for nothing.
because we started thinking around like, you know what, let's just keep going backwards and back, because I mean it's like, all right, we're gonna have this landmass, all right, but where did this landmass come from? Oh, it came from this planet. Where did this planet come from? Oh, it came from this god. Where did this god come from? So we just kind of went background, and before you know it, we're 6 months, 8 months in, and my wife's like, you got to film this, right? This is still a game, because you guys haven't done anything but talk and write stuff down every day
for 8 months. All we did was just brainstorm this shit on the phone for hours.
It was terrifying. It was terrifying, Neil. The very first day, and you played you played the Seder, right?
The very first game.
The very first game.
Yep.
And we were like, no one's coming in this place.
Oh, yeah.
Like we woke up that night, we couldn't sleep the night before.
Didn't sleep a wink.
We had cameras, and we got there early and set it all up. It was us. The way you were there, you saw our skeleton crew that put this together.
Yeah.
And we're like, dude,
nobody's coming.
Nobody's coming.
Nobody's coming.
Like, and it was like Field of Dreams, man. If you build it, they will come.
Absolutely.
I peek through the little door and I'm looking over. I'm like, wow, there's a few people here. It's like an hour early. There's like 4 people out there.
I was so excited.
30 minutes go by. I'm like, there's a whole bunch of people here. I think we're going to be able to play this game.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we really just wanted everyone to have a good time. That's what we really wanted. And
then it turned in. Then there's this weird sensation of like, whew, there's people here. Oh, shit,
my God!
That's a whole bunch of people.
And now we got to do it.
Yeah.
And that was definitely the most intimidated I've been running a game. I mean,
I'll say this:
20 people at a table, all looking at you like, don't blow it.
And these and most of them, I told them too. I said most of these people that are coming, they're going to know the book as good as you do. So if you don't,
his pep talks were terrible.
Oh, word! Yeah, I was going to say that's a horrible pep talk.
I said don't mess up, and
because these rules lawyers, they'll call you on your dumb shit.
They're going to call you on it. He's like, I was like, just go with it. I was like, even if it's 15 minutes and someone jumps the table and just starts beating the shit out of you, hey, that's entertainment, man. I'll get it on camera.
He's like, I hope somebody hits you with a dice. I hope somebody chucks dice.
I wanted it so bad. But I will say, great. Out of all of it, our wives, because we've never done anything like this. Our wives pull us even back down even more, saying like, "Hey, do you got food?" No. Why do we need food? Because you ask these people to come out and they're going to be there for like 3.5 hours. You're not going to take a break and have food and stuff. They're like, no. Should we? And they're like, yes. So that's why they showed it. Like, you guys are going to mess this up. You guys can't, you don't organize anything. You don't know how to give out name tags. You don't know how to do it. I'm like, no, dude, but we know Orin. Like, we created this planet and we know Orin.
Through and through.
But we wanted it to be like that adventure, right? I mean, that's like, hey, dude, this is a cool space. It's cool people, and they've got food, and it's fun. Let's roll with it. Didn't want it to be a drag. So that's pretty much how it happened, and we wing it, dude. I mean, our sign is this. Like when I'm looking at Rusco, going like, should we do that? And he's like, I'm like, all right, let's just go with it, see what happens. Yeah, absolutely.
That's fantastic.
It's been a fun ride.
Neil, thank you so much. We're not going to keep you all night. Thank you so much for
our first official,
first one. We have people have signed on already. We're got a couple more going. Now that we got it, we're figuring this out. And thank you so much for being here. And again, I want to hear from you. If someone wants to find you, you said it was easy. Neo Soul God.
Yeah.
At Neo Soul God at Twitter. Neo Soul God at Twitch.
Yeah.
Neo Soul God at the whole thing.
Yeah, I will. So if you want to support me, you can always do so by following me on all social media platforms at Neo Soul God. That's Neo Soul God, all one word. Again, best accidental branding mistake I've ever made. I am on all social media platforms and YouTube and Twitch. And I write and design Dungeons and Dragons content. I make funny videos, and I'm also pretty cute too. So there's that.
I agree with it.
I can't,
agree with it.
Can't argue with that one, I guess.
All right.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Neil.
Thank you so much for having me.
This is Die Inspired. We saw where the dice took us.